Halito, everyone. I'm Angie Noel, Angie with two E's. I'm an Indigenous educator and content creator, and I'm super excited about today's stream because I get to nerd out, and I love nerding out. My neurodivergent brain loves this. And so, if you don't know me, I do educational streams on Twitch. I also have a toxic relationship with Valorant. I definitely need to nerd out and kind of learn how to get out of that relationship. But I'm super excited today because I get to nerd out with some Twitch women guildies, and we're going to talk all things research and gaming. So hopefully you learn something from this stream. If you have any questions in chat, make sure you drop those, and we'll answer those at the end or maybe throughout the stream. We are also going to fundraise for 1000 Dreams Fund. Thank you for that dono earlier. We are raising funds for 1000 Dreams Fund, who, for their Broadcast Her grants, they provide financial assistance to eligible content creators to help with expenses such as travel to gaming conventions, educational conferences, hardware upgrades, and instructional programs. So if you want to donate, you can come to my stream and hit that dono button. There's also one in Twitch chat. So if you want to support Twitch Women Guildies on their endeavor to TwitchCon or other educational conferences and help with their content creation, make sure that you support that effort. But I'm going to allow my guests to introduce themselves so they can tell you more about them. And we'll go with Fangirl.
Oh, okay. Hi, everybody. I am Fangirl Review, your cozy horror streamer who is also currently pursuing their doctorate in general psych. So please keep me in your prayers and thoughts as I go through that journey. And I'm really excited today to really talk about women, higher education. And I want to say thank you to Twitch and the Women's Guild for putting on this amazing event. Thank you, Angie, for pulling us together. I really appreciate it. And please, everybody in chat, ask your questions. We're here to talk. I'm a professor, so that's all I like to do is talk. So if I'm talking too much, please tell me to be quiet because I can yap for days, especially when I'm geeking out with friends.
And MJ.
Well, thank you. I'm really glad that you said that, fangirl, because I too am a talker. Hi, everybody. I'm MJ Hart. My pronouns are she, her. And I am excited to be here. I have a PhD in relational therapy. So I like to say I'm a relational or relationship scientist. So I'm really excited to be here to talk about all of the things that we got going for you. I'm also a variety streamer. So I'm just happy to be here. Thank you for having me. Thank you to Twitch, the Women's Guild, and G Fangirl. Yeah, happy to nerd out.
Well, before we nerd out and get into some stats, I know that Fangirl, you kind of mentioned, or both y'all kind of mentioned your areas, but I want you to tell me about a game to describe you, your childhood game, and if you want to elaborate more on your degree field. And I forgot that I didn't really go over that, so I'll tell mine, and then y'all can share yours. So a game to describe me, I would say is Minecraft because I like to be creative. And then my childhood game, I was really into Super Mario. I think it was just kind of that beating the levels. And so I really enjoyed that game. And then I would say my degree field, so my undergraduate degree is in family life education, child development, and then my master's is in educational leadership with a focus on college student development. I'm also a professor, so as I share that same kind of field with these two guildies. And I am looking at PhD programs. I'm going to continuing on one day doctor. So Fangirl, if you want to go and tell me about your interests.
Sure. So a video game to describe me will definitely be, I said this earlier, Zelda 2. So no instructions, just vibes. That's how I go about life. And a childhood game favorite of mine would be probably Super Metroid from SNES. And again, a game that, again, no instructions, just vibes. Like you just had to know how to play that game. So fun watching retro gamers play that now. And then in terms of my degree of study for undergrad was psychology with a minor in sociology. For grad was behavioral science. I was training to become a marriage and family therapist. And then I realized I didn't want to listen to people's problems. So I kindly pieced out on that one, just did my degree. And then after a while, after my student loans were forgiven, I was like, I can now go back for my doctorate. I can financially do this. And so now I am in a doctorate program. It is general psychology, even though I think all my electives will be industrial organizational psychology because that's just so fun just reading that. But let me not kick you out. Sorry.
It looks like we got another dono to 1000 Dreams Fund. Thank you. MJ, do you want to go over your interests?
Yeah, yeah. So, to describe me a little bit in a game, I would say I would say Mario Kart. I remember playing Mario Kart on Nintendo 64 and I was like, this is perfect. I would beat all my brothers and sisters and I feel like it's a good combination of like cute and sweaty and that's just my vibe. So, I like the combination of both. So I feel like that would be that would be a way to describe me, and that was one of my childhood games. As far as degree goes, I got a bachelor's in psychology and family studies, then I got a master's in marriage and family therapy. So nice, fangirl. And then I got my doctorate in relational therapy, which is marriage and family therapy, but they're changing the field to shift it to relational and systemic therapy because it's not just about like marriages and families, it's about systems and groups of people and
Mhm.
dynamics, whether you're in a family or you would consider it a family or a marriage or whatever it is. So, yeah, that's my background.
Perfect. As you can see, we all kind of like weave into I never did anything along the therapy. I worked in child welfare, did some social work in my career. And that led me kind of like y'all's experience. I'm like, nope, I don't, that's too much. My PhD that I'm trying to like look at a program is more digital media as I've entered the tech field a little bit more, I nerd out more with that. My neurodivergent brain loves that compared to like academia or that like corporate kind of feel. So, um, definitely agree with you on that. Okay, so we told our like educational level. Chat, can you tell us what your current educational level is? Um, and then we have some stats to share with you all about that. Um, do y'all have any guesses of, I mean, what chats overall, like, maybe we got some um doctors in chat, some,
Mhm.
associates. And don't let anyone ever, and I'm gonna say this, don't let anyone ever discredit you because um I come from community college. Like I leveled up to, going to a uni. I'm a first generation student. So I had to figure out these systems, like you talked about, a little bit of that, those systems. I had to figure out how to navigate higher education, being a first generation student. So
Mhm.
trying to understand what that looks like. Do y'all have any comments on
Mhm.
that?
No, that's real. I think that's valid. I think so many people kind of we look at other people and kind of assume like, oh, well, this person has, has these resources or those resources. And I think that it's just so important to like, you know, give yourself grace and share the resources when you can have when you
Mhm.
do have them. But when you don't, like, don't beat yourself up, reach out to people, mentors, people who you know. Yeah, I just appreciate that there's such a vast difference that I've seen on Twitch with so many different, just areas of study and also different types of education.
No,
Whenever,
exactly. Having those resources
yep.
available to you is so important. And I know as a professor, being there in front of my students, a lot of them don't know what they're going to do with their
Yep.
degree or where to go. Because, I was teaching at a county college, which I think is amazing because that's where the students need the most guidance because they're like, I don't have the resources. I don't know where I'm
Mhm.
supposed to go. And because I also work in my field and been in it for 20 plus years, I'm able to help them navigate. I was like, oh, do you want to work with children? contact
Mhm.
these agencies. If you want to work with adults, contact these agencies. Actually, matter of fact, give me your email and I'm going to send your name over to the HR for this agency. Because I have those connections in my area, I can send them students like,
Mhm.
here, go work. Because the number one thing is the hardest thing I think everybody in chat can say, having great education but no experience. Where are you
Mhm.
going? So I have to like get
Mhm.
your experience while you're getting your education. So here, work at, I mean, nobody wants to work in the group home, but work in the group home. Start somewhere.
That is such a good point because as people were like, nothing on the service industry or anything, but people were like, servers or like, doing that, balancing, at least some of the people I went to school with would balance like being a server or whatever they can make really good money, right? And
Mhm.
I was like, a barista. And so I was like, okay, I need to dip into my field besides doing the field studies in my program and doing that little internship work like here and there. I need to figure out how do I connect it to my degree, and so I had to go find a job in a childcare to kind of build up some more experience. But that's important because a lot of people don't understand you need that experience. So that way,
Mhm.
whenever you're building your resume, right? And so we got a lot of people like they're sharing their educational backgrounds. So I see some doctors, I see some college. That's really awesome. Before I go into these stats, I do want to share a little. I nerd out and give fun facts. Whenever I did my research in my grad program, I found out Sakuno has a master's degree in statistics, I believe, and then Pokimane was like chemical engineering before she started being a streamer. So little fun facts. Tim the Tatman,
Mm.
I think he did social work before like he started or he quit social work to go to streaming. So just a little fun facts out there. Um, okay, so a survey in 2023 with 4,589 participants found that most Twitch users in the US are educated, with many holding various levels of degrees. So for a doctorate is 5%, a master's degree is 18%, bachelor's degree is 25, vocational tech, that's still school. I just want to note to that.
Yes.
14%, and a high school degree, 33%, and some high schools 4%. So um
Wow.
sounds like Quarter Jade was also in a field as well. That's awesome. Does any of those stats surprise y'all? Like anything
Honestly,
kind of jump out to you?
go ahead, MJ.
I was just gonna say it's not super surprising given, just all of the different types of people that I've met so far. Like over the past couple years, I didn't go last year, but went to TwitchCon the year before and the one before that. And I was just meeting so many different people from so many different backgrounds. So it was like, you know, it's so spread out that it just feels right. Like it makes sense to me.
I agree. Just we're smart people here. Okay.
Yes.
Like I, want to get away from that stigma of gamers not being also educated. That's not
Mhm.
true. We're not, we do so many things. We help out in the community and we're educated.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
everybody in chat, like, big up to y'all. Let's,
Yeah,
let's
y'all will get a
celebrate.
degree after this, by the way. Where this is Twitch uh degree Twitch Women's Guild. So you'll get your degree um by learning from us today. All right. So now we have some nice little rounds that we're gonna chat. You get to be involved. We're turning this into a game now. So round one is called Drop the Data. Okay. And so you all are going to guess if this is real or fake. I'm going to give you a statistic and I want to hear y'all's guesses of what you think. Okay, so for the first one, it says um so on the slide with a statistic will show 75% of adult players identify as Hispanic. Is that real or fake? What do y'all think? Do you think chat's gonna guess this right? What do you who do you think
I
is
think so.
I mean, we just talked
I
about
think they
chat being
might
very
guess.
educated. We
Yeah.
just pulled those stats about how smart you all are. And so I need to know if these stats are probably wrong that y'all are smart, but
Mhm,
we'll
mhm.
see. We'll see. So I'm getting, let's see, it's kind of both real, fake.
Oh, we're seeing a lot of fakes in
Oh,
there.
okay, fake.
Starting,
Okay,
Mhm.
it's
fake
starting
is
to
coming up
switch
now.
over. Yeah.
All right, all right. Well, so I wish I had like a drum roll. I need like a drum roll. I don't. I have Jeopardy sounds. I forgot the drum roll. Well, so the actual data is 75% of adult players identify as white and Caucasian. And this is according to the Entertainment Software Association. You can go to their site and they have a whole detailed report, all kinds of information about gamers. And so, along those statistics, 20% identify as Hispanic, 15% identify as Black and African American, 3% is Native American and Alaskan, and 3% is Asian and Pacific Islander, which, as an Indigenous person, like we're like OG gamers, I talk about. I don't know where they pull these stats, but there's at least more than 3% of Indigenous people gaming. I need to get in with Entertainment Software Association, get them the real data. But that's the percentage of Entertainment Software Association stats. So I'm gonna hand it over to Fangirl to get into her research.
Sure. So next up for our next real or fake, I want you guys to again in chat say, is it real or fake? 21.3% of respondents identified, sorry, the streamer as the most responsible for the positivity of the community. Is this real or
Mm.
is this fake?
I mean,
Or what are y'all thoughts?
as a streamer, I mean, I'm not responsible, right? Like, I play Valorant. Like, I, I'm trying to be positive while I'm getting one tapped in the head. Like, it is hard. And MJ out there with Marvel Rivals.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, going with the both and a little sweaty, but also, the characters are cute.
Mhm. Think
Positive, I
about it.
guess.
What is that impact of the streamer on their community?
I
Mm.
I see a
see.
lot of fakes in the chat, and somebody said, "I hope it's fake."
I mean, it depends on who's the streamer, I guess. I don't know.
I agree. All right, so and the answer is it is fake. It is fake, y'all. So it's actually 71.6%. That streamer has a large impact on the positivity of their community. This was a study done in 2023 by Sherrick et al. I am a nerd, so if you guys want to talk more about the findings of that, you can always reach out to me and we could go deep into it. I love pulling recent articles. So, but with that in mind, please, the excuse me, the moderators make up 14%, which is pretty big impact. So, streamers, be
Mm,
careful of the moderators you choose and the community you
Mhm.
build. That has a large impact as well. Okay,
that makes
so
sense.
streamer
Yes.
is always the vibe setter. Exactly, Jen. Thank you.
Mhm. Mhm.
All right, MJ.
All
What
right.
knowledge are you gonna drop?
All right, let's get juicy. All right. So, 20 is this real or fake? 21% of gamers have developed romantic feelings for someone they met through online gaming. Is that real or fake? What do y'all think? Like, what does this feel real or fake?
Oof, it feels fake, but I just got stories to tell. So
You
I
just
hope
look
it's
at
real.
Twitter, right? You just look at streamer Twitter and I think it comes up. So I don't know.
Mm.
I
I
have
had
Yeah,
a lot
no,
of
seen
that's
some
real.
reels.
things. Yeah, but I see a lot of real, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Twitch low key a dating
Wow.
site.
100% of gamers.
I know, but we spend so much time together. You're watching that person, you're interacting with them. There's so
Mhm,
many
mhm.
studies exploring this and that
Yep,
interaction that you have with each other. So,
yep. Yeah. My
Got someone that
goodness, I'm
said
seeing
fake.
some yep, seeing some fake real in the chat. Okay. All right, are we ready for
yes.
the real?
The
All
reveal.
right. Well, that was fake because it's 43% of gamers that have developed romantic feelings for someone they met through online gaming. And some little added stats for that is that 67% of gamers have formed some type of relationship via gaming, which includes casual friendships or dating. 36% found a lifelong friend, and 20% of those friendships last more than 5 years, 3% lasting more than 20 years, and 8% have found marriage or partnerships through gaming chats.
Wow.
So there's so much research on gamers and relationships, and honestly, that's my jam because, like you said, fangirl, there is so much research to show like we already know we
Mhm.
spend so much time together. We spend
Yep.
time on squads like arguing and also having like good conversation and maybe Disney singing karaoke sessions. But yeah, it's 43% of gamers that have developed romantic feelings for somebody they met online. So,
It was so
and
cool to go ahead.
I
I'll
was just gonna say, and that is my field, like romantic relationships in general. So,
mhm.
like Fangirl said, like if y'all got questions about relationships, specifically in context of like online communities and communication in general, like that's something I really nerd out about.
Hmm.
See, my field is more of like student development since obviously that I've worked a lot with like student programming, student groups. And so um, whenever I did my research, it was around like how do we use video games as an approach to
Mm,
student development. And so
mm,
it's really interesting how these all like kind of intersect and they go together. So but reading y'all's like the stats was really interesting to me, of course, because I'm a nerd.
mhm.
Um, but so kind of talking about a little bit about of our fields or relate our research interests. Many researchers begin with personal passions. How did gaming, online communities, or digital media shape the questions you chose to pursue in graduate school? Whoever wants to take on that question.
Mm,
Okay, I'll jump right in. So, my master's thesis was titled Relationships and the Internet. Can a smiley make it better? I
mm,
am from the 1900s.
Oh
So,
God.
it was the rise of those interactions online. And back then, there really wasn't a lot of data available. Data, we're not going to get into that. Available to explore those relationships. So a lot of
mhm,
the scales I had to create myself because they just weren't there yet. And but I was online. I was using AIM for AOL Instant Messenger for anybody remembers that.
uh-huh,
Um,
uh-huh,
the the MySpace, Black Planet, like all of these different groups that we were interacting with each other. In AOL chat groups. I'm going back in time.
mhm,
Uh, yes. So I do see my chiropractor once a month. That's how old I am. But I found that building on that today, there's so much new information. So looking at general psychology and parasocial relationships, even though that term was around since the 1950s, it has expanded so much and we have new media forms available to interact with
mm,
each other. We have Twitch, we have
Hmm.
the other channels, and obviously Discord as our way to connect with each other. And that's really where I was in the community, and I decided to write about the community because I had relationships that I built, friendships I built for people I've
Mm.
never met. They live clear across the world, but
Mhm.
they were brought together via Twitch or some other platform. And I love that I get to write about it. And honestly, my dissertation is going to be about parasocial relationships in the streaming community. So,
Ooh,
looking at my connections with these two ladies who I've got to meet MJ in person, and I will meet Angie at some point in time.
For sure.
And just the guilds alone bring us all together. And I really am focusing my research on demographics, parasocial relationships, and the
Mhm.
streaming community, and the guilds meet that standard right there alone. So, Twitch, yes, I will need to pull some data from you. Thank you. Let me put in my data request now
For your
as I'm pulling
dissertation.
information. So, just dot, dot, dot. Okay. All right.
I love
That's
that so much.
Yeah, that's interesting that you said about the Unity guilds because whenever I was doing my research, that's kind of like what transitioned me to being more active. Um, Long story short, I wanted to create change on the platform. So, ironically, like the summer of 2024, or sorry, no, 2023, um, I met the guild leader, Coco Confession, and Jermaine Plays, and learned more about the guilds as I was like a few semesters into my grad program. And I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. And so it wasn't until I graduated that I was able to do more, but it was very helpful during that like whole grad school and just kind of as I was researching gaming and then seeing it, kind of experiencing it within the community was really interesting. So MJ, do you have any what are your thoughts on the question? And if you need me to repeat it, I can too.
Yeah. Yeah, repeat the question if you don't mind.
All right. So many researchers begin with personal passions. How did gaming, online communities, and digital media shape the questions you chose to pursue in graduate school?
Okay. Yes. So for me, it is just being part of these like communities. It is exactly that, like personal passion shifting into my research questions because I mean, I was back on AIM and
Oh,
I actually remember Yahoo Games. Do y'all
oh
remember
yeah.
Yes.
Yahoo Games? Where like they had graffiti, they had like
Mm.
connect, like you could play so many games on that. Me and my grandma were on that all the time.
I just played
And
Minesweeper. No, I'm just
oh, yeah. So, I've spent a lot of time in communities and actually, I remember back in 2013, this is right when I finished, my undergrad. I was, like, on Tumblr all the time, and I was constantly just researching because 'cause I'm a little nerd regardless, before the degrees. I'm like, "Ooh, what would happen if, these people and these group dynamics got together?" And so, long story short, my passion or my degree or, my work has been focused on relationship education on social media. So, I noticed that so many people reach out to streamers, they reach out to TikTokers and all these different people for relationship education. And so as a therapist, I'm like, okay, I'm here and I'm, here to support relationships, but there's such a barrier for people to have access to relationship education, to have access to therapy. And so often the things that are accessible, like social media, those are the things that are used, but that's not where a lot of professionals before. I think now people are leaning into it, but that's not where a lot of professionals have put their time and dollars and energy into making education about relationships more accessible. So long story short, a lot of my research was actually done in with several different gamers who were my participants for my dissertation. And so a lot of the data that I gathered was just that a lot of people reach out to people who seem most authentic. And so, it was really amazing to see that because they're like, often we think, oh, well, I'm going to reach out to this professional or that professional, but like what we're seeing now, especially with emerging adults, folks who are, 18 to 29, is that, you reach out to your local influencer who seems like they have experience and who seems like they are being
Mhm.
their most authentic selves. So it just was fascinating to me and I just leaned into it.
That's so cool. The neurodivergent brain, the
Mm,
always learning and the way that like at least for me, it's the way that I go down rabbit holes and then it makes me go down more rabbit holes. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so
mhm.
interesting.
Yep.
Um, so that's how like with mine being a part of the Twitch space since 2018, didn't know anything about it. I was kind of just vibing in Friday the 13th and friends were like, "You need to stream." And I'm like, "I don't know what that is." And so being a part of the platform and like y'all are talking about I'm young, so I don't know a lot about AOL chat. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. Um I'm a millennial and I did, grow up with the online chat rooms and MySpace and all of these like, digital platforms and the way that it connected us and being from a royal, high school that really like helped because then I got to like meet other people throughout the country in the world, to be honest. And so that's kind of where I was like looking for a research topic. And whenever I worked with my students, whenever I did some like student affairs work, whenever I worked with my students, we talked about gaming. We talked about the biggest like influencers, like you were talking about MJ. These are people that are always, in their ear. So we would talk about that. And I was like, okay, well, students are already gaming. Like, how do we use that, leverage that as a benefit? And also talk about the cons, like that I discuss, that the meme touch grass. Like literally though, like
Mhm.
I said I play Valorant. That has taught me I need to go touch grass sometimes because it can be
Mhm.
so overwhelming. And it can ruin your mental. And so I was like, okay, well, our students are doing this. I am a part of this, like, Twitch streaming platform. I let's connect it, And so I just went down
Mhm.
many rabbit holes and it was really interesting to connect everything. Cause I was just playing video games, I was just like playing games. It wasn't until like I started getting into my grad program and wanting to create change on the platform that I was like, okay, let's figure out how do I merge that. So
Mhm.
it's interesting that you all have kind of those little things that gaming led you to your research. So that that also makes me think about charity and how I've done more with charity streams as well. And so we are raising funds for 1000 Dreams Fund. We've raised 146 so far. Thank you so much for the donos. Also, I want to remind chat if you have any questions for me or Fangirl or MJ, please put them in chat. Um, and we are going to do our next round. Is there anything else that we want to comment on those stats or kind of your research? I know we'll talk about it more. We're going to nerd out more.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Well, next is going to be round two. We're going to guess that stat. So chat's going to have to kind of guess some numbers. So, chat, I know you're smart. And as we all seen, so let's kind of go over some stats. The first one is what percent of women hold degrees in the US, in the United States? And I'm sorry I did not pull the world, but I'm sure we have some very educated women throughout the world. Um,
Yeah. And that's
so
the
Mhm.
whole concept of sample versus population. As
Mhm.
a general psych 101 professor, that would be, I think that's my second lecture, talking about statistics, things like that. So while the chat goes through, sample is just a small part of the population. Yes, so professors here to tell you that. Therefore, you cannot in any way, shape, or form pull that many people. It is impossible. Therefore, you can only take a random sample of the population
Mhm.
and still be able to extrapolate that to the whole. Okay. All right. There's your Psych 101 lesson of the day.
Love it.
Okay, keep nerding out because I believe let me just double check on this because I think I pulled a different I forgot to get the overall um
No problem. No
one.
problem.
So let me
Mhm.
just confirm my stats while you talk more about the
Oh,
psychology and chat is also guessing. So
Mhm, mhm.
yes.
Actually
For nerdy Black woman, it says if you use a solid population sampling method, yes, it has to be
Mhm,
completely random. If it's not, you
mhm,
need to mention that. We'll just have a little lecture real quick. You have to note where you found your people. Did you pay them to
mhm,
participate
mhm,
in the sample? Um, Depending on the demographics, things of that sort. And the most important part of it is who did you exclude from your sample and why? So if you are
mhm,
reading research articles, because everybody in here, we're all nerds, make sure you read that information and
mhm,
know why they excluded. Because sometimes you can tell right there if there is something wrong with this data that you are about to review, and maybe you need to
mhm,
put it aside because that is a big part is the ethics behind the research, and did they
mhm,
look the other way, because you can make numbers say what you need them to say if you
mm,
play it right.
mhm.
So make sure you
mhm,
read
mhm.
the methodology behind
Yeah.
any statistic. And so a lot of times when they're saying, oh, it's X, Y, and Z percentage, grab that research article, read it, and they'll be like, oh, actually it's
Mhm.
because of A, B, and C, and that is
Yeah,
why. So
yeah,
again,
and I wanna
like once you're done. Go ahead.
yes,
Sorry.
something to that because I think, for those who are looking to, get into research and, try to find something, a topic, I think that's a great way to find a topic. If you see
Mhm.
research where it's like, these are the numbers, but they've excluded a certain population, then you
Exactly.
might lean into looking at, okay, who can I research this population? Can I look at these missing numbers? And that's a way to find a topic that you're interested in that's already been done, but also has not covered the population that you're interested in.
I love that you pointed that comment out because that's kind of what led me to like the lack of representation, right? In different ways, like because I connected it again, mine's more about student affairs, higher education. So learning more about higher education, the history of it, who's been excluded,
Mhm,
who was the system, built around, things like that. It was really, eye-opening and led me to doing more community work and whatnot. So, all right, I do have
mhm.
the stat though. Um, so chat, are you ready? The stat is 61.8% um are college graduates. So I saw like some 40%, some 33, 51. I think. Oh, wait, somebody did guess 63%. So that was
Hmm.
really close. And if you want to nerd out and see more, there is, I'm just going to link y'all all can go read the source to read more about the demographics. I don't think, wait, do I have more stats from that? Don't cheat, okay? Don't see any more stats from that. Um, but in it does note that white females are the most likely to graduate with a degree of any kind. And so even within that demographic, it's a lot of marginalized or underrepresented groups within that demographic. And so again, kind of understanding, how do we support more women to get more degrees?
Mhm, mhm.
All right. So
Alright.
that was my fun stat
Nice,
going.
nice. Are we going to the next one?
Yep.
So guess this stat, y'all. What percent of women are considered gamers? What percent of women are considered gamers? I'm I I'm curious. I mean, because I think I would have gotten this wrong if I was guessing.
I mean, it's it's always surprising whenever I see this stat and I share it with people. They're like, "What?" Cuz fun fact again, Pac-Man was the first video game to target towards women because they wanted more women to play their games. So they made it colorful and everything like that. So really
Mm.
interesting. So it's been the gaming industry, has been trying to target, women early on, just like I said about Pac-Man. So
Mhm.
we are
Mhm.
gamers, we're out
Yeah.
there.
Mhm.
My mom games on
Okay.
Fortnite, or maybe your mom plays Farmville on Facebook. No, I'm just kidding.
Listen, the
No.
fact that I bought my mom a PlayStation 5 and a Switch, and she was just being fussed at my dad. My dad was fussing at her all weekend. He was like, "You were on that game the whole
Mm.
time." So, women of all ages are gamers.
Mm. Mhm.
Exactly. There is
No,
no age
seriously.
limit.
Seriously, I mean, I'm a gamer because my grandma is a gamer. I mean, she originally had she had the Atari, we had Duck Hunt in the
Mhm.
house. We were gamers.
Exactly.
Um, all right, are we ready for the
Yes.
statistic? Okay. So, it is 47%. 47%. And just to clarify, it is 40% or 47% of women consider themselves gamers. Um, and I think this is I'll try to put this link in the chat, but I don't know if the link will work. But
It
yeah,
should work.
I would have gotten that wrong because I would have said way more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But if
that
you're looking at that from like a psychological, sociological, heck, throw in anthropology in that,
Mm. Mhm.
you have to wonder if they is are they considered versus considering themselves. Thank you, Donna.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because there might
Yeah.
be people who don't consider themselves gamers and be like, listen, like somebody said, you on that dang game. Yes, you are a
Yes.
gamer. They don't think
Yes.
they are because they might not be playing a video game, you know?
Yep.
like I'm gonna
Yep.
drop that resource. There
Yes.
we go.
Thank
That's
you, Pixel.
fair.
Those mobile games, those are
Yes.
games.
Those are games. And some people don't consider themselves gamer. It's funny because I actually have a friend who's like, "I always forget you're a gamer. Like you have a doctorate and you're always talking serious, but like you play games." But then I'm like, "You be playing games on that phone all day long.
Yeah.
You're a gamer too."
Ex-
Exactly. It's like that meme with the little kid, like you got games on your phone. He's like, yeah, because moms and grandmoms and aunties, we all have games on our phone. We need a little moment to
Yes.
play those games. So yes. So
well,
there's probably the percentage probably would be higher if they took the time to help define what is considered a gamer. But that is a whole
Yeah.
nother. Ugh,
Yep.
exactly.
I don't want to get
I
into those worms. But
Ooh.
yes.
Yeah.
again,
That'll take me on a rabbit
millennials
trail.
Yeah.
millennials are, I mean, we grew up with video games, right? So I want to say the average age, I think the 2025 statistic that Entertainment Software Association pulled was the average age is 41. So it's not your 22-year-old,
Mhm.
Fortnite, player. It's actually 41.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
definitely millennials are gaming. But I
Yeah.
did link it in chat if you want to go nerd out and read more statistics from the Entertainment Software Association, you can. All right.
Wow.
Was
All
anyone
right.
surprised? Were we surprised by that?
Well, I think
Yeah.
everybody was surprised it wasn't higher, but
That's true.
Yeah.
We're just
there's
gonna
a
have to bump it higher. We need to bump up those numbers.
Yeah. But I
exactly.
at this point, I kinda feel like maybe we just need to do a research project where we kind of, like, figure out a way to define it and then ask everybody on Twitch to do our survey.
I hear a research grant, Twitch. So if you want to
Yes.
There you
send money
go.
our way, we will do this research for you.
Mhm.
Exactly.
I'm in.
All right. Well,
Okay.
I linked it again. For some people, they said they didn't get it, so I linked it again. But moving to the next one, th-
Uh,
Fangirl, you got this.
yes. And our next stat is, what is the percentage of women represented in the top 100 highest earning streamers? So we're talking money now. What is the percentage of women that are represented in the top 100 highest earning streamers? So when you think of the top of the top, what is that percentage of women?
Mm,
Okay. So think of
mm,
it out of 100, talking about 100 streamers. What is that percentage? I am
mm,
one of the business development mentors over at the Twitch Black Guild. So I like to talk about money, how to make money, and taxes, and how to protect your money, and how to write things off. So
mhm,
I was definitely very happy to read these stats and learn more about who's earning money, what's the percentage, how high is it, and how we can make more money.
mhm, mhm.
Well, to comment on this one, if we go off of streamer Twitter, it's like at least like 80, 90%, right? That's kind of women are in the, top, right? That's what I see, at least from streamer Twitter. But everybody's saying, I mean, we got some low numbers. We got
Mm,
0.01%.
And then we have high
mm.
numbers. Then we have like 60, 50,
Okay.
48. Yes. So are you
Somebody did
guys?
guess it. I see a guess.
Yes.
Mhm.
Did you Google that, friend? Did you Google that? Okay.
Oh.
So this statistic, the percentage is 3%. I see you music in the chat. It is only 3% of the top 100. So if it's 100 and
Mhm.
we're doing our stats, that's three people. That's three women
Mm.
that are in the
Pokemon's
top
probably
1.
the one. I don't
So you
know.
can probably name those three, and the 97
Yeah.
other are men.
Oof.
Let's
Wow.
just sit with that for a minute.
Let's take a
Yeah.
moment.
Oh, that's as we celebrate Women's History Month. Yay.
Mhm.
So again, cranking up those numbers. We can
Yes, we
make
do need research to understand the why. Thank you, Dr. Staley.
Mhm.
We do that. We again, listen, I'm here. I'm ready to research with you.
Yeah.
yeah,
Got
ready to nerd out.
Listen, count me
you.
in.
Um, well, while everybody's sitting with that stat, I do want to note that Twitch came in with a big dono of 550 to the 1000 Dreams Fund. Thank you, Twitch. Thank you to others that have donated. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. The alerts are off, so it doesn't alert me, but I can see it pop up in chat. So somebody did put
Mhm.
the 3. Is that really who it is? The 3?
Mm.
I have to
Oh,
look at.
yeah, I have to look up who that three is. But that stat was from the Washington Post. I don't
Yeah.
think I can get my link in there,
Wow.
but it is from the Washington Post.
Mhm.
Oh, just a guess. Okay. I mean, that's a good guess. It could be definitely. I think Amaranth, I would, think that maybe that would be one in the top. Valkyrie, Amaranth, and Pokey, maybe? I don't know
Yes,
exactly
it's
though.
the link.
Are you able to post it or do you?
Yeah, I
Oh
think so. I
no.
think I was able to
Timed you
post it.
out. Oh no. Here, let's see. Which one are we on? Oh, that one.
Oh.
Okay. All right. Here y'all go, chat. There is the Washington Post where you can go nerd out and learn more about it. All right. So, statistics show women earn a growing share of graduate degrees, but remain underrepresented in some fields, as we saw. How do you navigate barriers and or opportunities while pursuing your advanced degree?
Hmm.
Or for you, MJ, it'd be like, how did you?
Yeah.
Just a side note, I
Mm.
feel so like these women are so, brilliant. And again, surround yourself by people that like inspire you because being around them, they inspire me. I've known them through the Twitch Women's Guild. Like if it wasn't for the Twitch Women's Guild, I would have not met them. And
Mhm.
MJ and I Fangirl, we met recently. I've known of your work, but more like interacting was recently. But MJ and I have been trying to collaborate for the longest. And while
Yes.
she was, deep into her PhD program, it was hard. But like, I'm just want to shout out to these remarkable women um, doing big things. So,
Listen, you out here doing
Thank
amazing
you.
things too. And thank you for even inviting us and bringing us all together. Thank you to Twitch and the Twitch Women's Guild. We're all here sharing our knowledge, and we're always open for questions. So make sure you're dropping those questions in the chat.
Mhm,
We'll have a
mhm.
Q&A at the end. So I've seen a couple of questions popping up here and there. So we are grabbing those questions for the end. So make sure you guys are asking and asking away. We're all professors and we love sharing knowledge and talking
Yes,
about
you should talk to your
yes.
professors.
it.
Just want to throw
Yes.
that out there.
Literally.
Talk to
but
your
in
professors.
but in terms of navigating barriers or opportunities while pursuing your advanced degree, I think as going back for my degree now, um, I think the biggest barrier was the time, right?
Mm, mhm.
Balancing your time with friends, family, loved ones, uh, a job because hey, got to pay the bills. Still
Mhm.
finding time to for yourself. So being here, having my friends here, playing video games with them, and things of that sort. I think that's usually the biggest barrier for me was how am I going to juggle it all? But I'm definitely one of those idle hands is the devil's playground type of person. So if you leave me alone for too long, I will find something for myself to do. And I definitely found something for myself to do. As many of you might know, I am the creator of the BIPOC Streamer Awards. And that was so much fun to create that and watch that grow with my amazing community and the amazing staff that helped create it. Unfortunately, we did retire and we took a moment. And again, I was uh, idle for too long. And now I'm pursuing my doctorate. But my brain
There we go.
needed it. I needed to pursue something in terms of my
Mm.
education. So therefore, that is what I am doing. So that was the biggest barrier was finding the time to juggle everything in
Mhm.
my and making sure I don't burn out. But we could talk about a whole
Mhm.
nother conversation on burnout.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Oof, I appreciate you mentioning that because I think that was my biggest barrier as well, and that was timing and maintaining relationships. I think that's,
Mm,
that's core for me, relationships, but also I believe that like, often women have the burden when it comes to managing and maintaining relationships. Even, when it comes to other like when it comes to family, when it comes to friends, I think
Mhm.
that that was a barrier for me. That was difficult for me because I'm like, I want to hang out with this person. I want to talk to this person. I want to
mhm,
connect with this person. And at the same time, I have school and I have this and I have
Mhm.
that. And I felt just the pressure of failing at so many things. I felt like I was failing as a friend, as a wife, as like so many different
Mhm.
that I had in my life. And not only that, having a neurodiversity, like having ADHD was really difficult because my program was a hybrid program. And thankfully, it was a social justice focus. And so there weren't those kinds of demographic barriers that I came across in that context, but it was the psychological and the neurodivergent struggle. And
mm.
so, it felt like when I would close my computer, school would disappear. And so I would have a hard time just navigating like when am I going to do my work? When am I going to connect with people? And so I one way that I was able to overcome that was that the people that I really wanted to hang out with, they also had things they needed to do. So I was like, "Hey, let's go on a work retreat. Like let's go on a trip and like let's work together while I do my dissertation, you do
So,
your work." And we would end up having pockets of time where we would body double. And honestly, like I realized I just needed supervision in order for me to get any work done. So I would have those sessions with my friends and family. And that was one way that I was able to get through that, even though it was really still very, very difficult.
yeah. And shout out to Twitch for having those co-working, body doubling categories. And
Yup.
listen, we can co-work together. Everybody in the chat right now,
Yeah.
as I start writing my dissertation, I'm gonna need all of y'all to pull up,
Mhm.
Yeah.
bust at me to be like, "Did you write a page today?" Okay,
I got you.
Exactly.
I'm asking everybody.
You know, my my higher education journey was is very interesting. Um, so my undergrad, I found out I was pregnant my senior year. So it was like, oh, yay, surprise. Luckily, it was kind of on the end stretch of it. But definitely I had to take breaks, like a semester to kind of juggle the new transition I was going through of motherhood. And then after that, I took a 10-year break. Like I tried to go to grad school a couple of times and within that 10-year break. But it took me 10 years to go back and get my master's because I and it's funny story. My whenever I tried to attempt during that 10-year, I found out I was pregnant again with my other kid, my second kid. And so it was definitely a little gap. And so that's why I'm okay with another gap until I find the perfect PhD program. Because I think it took me I I'm glad I did because I for my master's, I went for a university that I didn't think, again, I'm first generation. I didn't come from like, a lot of guidance. And I was just like, you know what? Although I was doing the work in student affairs, I was like, I knew how to start navigating that, right? From that experience. And so I was like, you know what? I'm shooting for this university and I got in and I was like, yay. Like, so I think as I look for a PhD program and you both can tell me, but the biggest thing I have learned as I look for one, make sure you find the support you that within your program that will support you not just because of your educational goals but like your identity, right? Like who's going to support
Mhm.
you as you go through this, and then what opportunities as in funding is available. So looking at those opportunities and research and how do you find your perfect, or well, the one that the research mentor that's going to guide you throughout your PhD program. And then I had someone tell me that don't settle for just a program. Make sure it's
Mhm.
one that's going to support you. What are
Mhm.
y'all's thoughts
Mhm.
on like PhD programs or anything on that?
Definitely, I mean, know yourself, know what you can handle. I made a spreadsheet. I'm a spreadsheet nerd. Okay, let me just say that now. So, as I was starting to look at the different schools, I knew I had to be 100% online. I could not go in person. I don't have the time. I work a full-time job and I also have uh, I'm also the adjunct professor. So I'm already teaching and working. So it had to be 100% online. I can't go in person. There was no way to fit that in. And then I had to decide if it has a dissertation, does it also have a comprehensive exam? I wasn't really feeling the exam. Does it have a residency? Then, if you're doing psychology, am I looking at a PsyD? Am I looking at a clinical? Or am I looking at just a PhD and things of that sort? And I realized I'm not going to do any type of therapy. So I didn't need a PsyD. I didn't need a clinical. And then look at accreditations. Look at accreditations. I've taught at a few different schools and I have been part of the accreditation process. And whew, the amount of paperwork that we had to fill out and do and go through and getting things together, but whatever. Not going to go down that rabbit hole. But look at the accreditation of those schools and how long they've been around. And look at the professors that are currently teaching there who have been there for a while. Look at what was their research in, and just do all of that information. And when you do that, that's how you'll pick the right school for you. Oh, I'm just going to give me one more thing. Look at how much it'll cost. What's that money like? What scholarships
That.
do they
Yep.
have available to you? And make that decision, because you know what? I might like school A. However, my wallet says school B is better. So I'm going to go with school B, because
Yep.
I am not going to have any more student loans ever again in life. So therefore, I am paying out. So school B, buy to school A.
Yeah,
In
that is
scholarship.
valid.
Yes. I just want to add like scholarships, identity scholarships. So if you are like a woman, if you're a indigenous person, if you're Latin, like I know from my experience, there's lots of scholarships out there for those identity populations that could support you in your educational goals. So I definitely would look around.
Yeah. Yeah, I am not a great example of someone who chose a school because I was like, "Oh, my friend goes there. She's having a great time. Let me apply." Got in on a whim. I was not ready for a PhD program, but I made it. I had to make it work.
Let's
Um,
go.
but I think something advice I would give once you're already in the program, use your resources. Really do email your professors,
Yes.
because it's people like we're there to help, we're there to support, and sometimes it can feel especially PhD programs, they can feel very isolating because so many different people are in different places in their programs and so many different people are doing different work than you. And so, especially if you are neurodivergent, you love a good body double, it's like this person is not doing the same thing. So sometimes it might not feel like a body double situation. So you got to like recruit your professors, recruit the
Mhm.
people that you're around to be there for you as a resource. So I would say, for me, that was the most effective. Like I would call up my classmates, like, hey,
Mhm.
you wanna like we had to publish our research at the end of it. So I'm like, hey, do you want to be on my dissertation? You'll have your name on here for publishing. We can
Nice.
help each other out, and we did that. And I would do that the same thing with like some professors. I would call my professor, connect with them on a regular basis and say,
Yep.
hey, like I'm struggling with this, can you give me direction here or there? And so if you have anxiety around reaching out, I would say like just start small, start with the most
Mhm.
approachable professor, and then like don't stop if you feel like if you didn't get the most welcoming response, like really
Mhm.
just reach out to who you can. That would be my advice.
Perfect advice. I learned it more in my grad program, my master's program, rather than my bachelor's. My bachelor's, I was just focused on surviving, really. It was those survival skills of I just got to get this degree, especially like being pregnant. I was like, I just got to get this degree. So I think
Mhm.
I really, took it up a notch whenever I did my master's and made sure that like I talked to my professors. I mean, they probably were like, "Oh, here she comes again asking, questions." And it was like, "You know what? That's what you're here for. I got questions. I got to figure out how to do this project or whatever." It's very important because you also like I was given the opportunity to become a graduate research assistant through that relationship with my professor, so they knew like what my interest was, my research that I was starting, wanting to kind of get more involved in. And so I got connected
Mm.
with a graduate research assistant. And so those are other opportunities on, funding through university is graduate research assistant and graduate teaching assistant positions that you can find. And so those are important. Those are things, again, first generation. I didn't know anything. I didn't know how to navigate this stuff. Um, and then like how there's programs where you can go from your master's to PhD, like it's just one program instead of having like to split them. I
Mhm.
personally think it's up to the person because as I had my cohort was really small. And I loved MJ that you talked about like reaching out to your like study buddies and stuff like that. Cause we definitely had moments where we, were able to work together. Um, as the college worked together with some body doubling, and then like my cohort, we would, sometimes work together. And so I think it's important just to, you know, make those relationships and get that extra support. So,
Mhm.
um
That's yeah. No, that's very true. And also, again, the benefits here we have Twitch University. I saw Snackless pop into the chat.
oh
Twitch
yes.
University, we have forums that we all come together and talk about our different things. I'm a nerd, so I'm already like dropping links to like articles. Like, let's talk about this. So I'm trying to get people on, like, let's talk about articles. But whatever. But we all come together, and again, we keep mentioning, excuse me, body doubling, co-working, and things. That's a perfect place. Like, if anybody in the chat
Mhm.
is going to pursue their degree or is actively pursuing their degree, once you're in there, come on over to Twitch University. I am in there too, and we will be there together, working together. It's all about building that support system around you to make sure you make it to the end.
Just like the students, or even how we connected through the Twitch Women's Guild and find
Yes.
support.
Mhm.
So Twitch has the Twitch Unity Guilds, Twitch University, the Twitch Creator Clubs. So definitely you can use those digital platforms. I remember in my studies and my research, I saw that Discord had like a whole server around STEM. And so it was really interesting to see how, some students would go in there and just like find tutoring at your fingertips. Like, this is, something that like sometimes can hinder a student. I know from working with students that are like those, especially those math classes. Math classes always got to people, even to myself. But like that they were in there like doing their work. You could see all the equations, and I was like, wow, that's really awesome to have that resource available to you. But again, it's about what you know, right? Like, if you don't know these things,
Mhm.
then how can you navigate it?
Yes.
Um,
Exactly.
all right. Before we go to the last round, let me just kind of shout out to, I saw a couple more donos come through for the 1000 Dreams Fund. Again, we're raising funds for 1000 Dreams Fund. They support Twitch Women Guildies to go to TwitchCon, as well as educational conferences, tech gear, things to help them with their content creation. So a great organization. When you're talking about students and everything, they support students. So if you want to support 1000 Dreams Fund, we're raising funds for them, as well as we are taking questions in chat. So if you have any questions, make sure you put them. We have somebody that's grabbing them, and we'll look at them after the stream, or after we get through the next round. Um, all right, so we're going to move into the last round, and it's about the bigger picture. So we're going to talk about this because it's just going to be a stat, and we're all going to unpack this together and talk about it. So, let's talk about Twitch viewership. We talked about like the education that you all have as viewers. Now, let's talk about the viewership. And that stat is going to be that 65% are men and 35% are women that are in the Twitch viewership. So let's unpack that. What are y'all's thoughts on that as we look at the stats? I
We
know
will
it's
make the
it's
number bigger. We will
right.
make
We're
the
gonna get
number
those, pump up those numbers.
bigger. But
Um,
it's also important when you receive those emails from Twitch asking to fill out the survey. Fill
Mm.
out the survey. Uh, the numbers probably are higher,
Mhm.
but it's only based off of who fills out their survey. So if
Yeah.
it's only 5,000 people filled out the survey and 65% of them were male. So take the time, fill out those surveys, get that information in, because
Mhm.
unless you fill out the what is the
right.
what's
The streamer survey.
the streamer survey, how many people have filled out their streamer survey? Let's ask that question to the chat.
Yeah.
How many
Yeah.
Me.
people filled out their streamer survey? So a lot of times when you are applying to the guilds, you have to fill out your streamer survey to let them know, who you identify as and things of that sort. So Twitch can't pull that data because you haven't filled it out. And the numbers probably are higher because we're talking about that. We're like, oh, that number's so low.
Yeah.
You only can pull what you
Mm.
have access to.
Mhm,
You
mhm.
want to be represented, make sure your name is counted.
That's your homework
Yeah.
chat. If you haven't filled it out, go fill it out.
Or and fill it out again.
Yeah.
If you're not
Make
sure
sure
if you filled it out, do it again.
maybe your
Yeah.
identities, like have, shifted or whatever, you're more than welcome to fill it out again.
Mhm.
And that's great about data, it shifts and because of populations and stuff. So definitely
Mhm.
look at it if you haven't filled it out. Um, it could be opportunities headed your way, but you haven't filled it out. Again, like talk to your professors, talk to, like that's the same
Yeah.
way, like gotta do it.
Yeah. A thought that came to mind just, just with that thought of like, filling out the survey. I feel like there's so much space and room for everybody to make their spaces so much more psychologically and emotionally safe and so that people feel able to fill those out. Somebody mentioned, like only two genders on the survey and I think that there's again room to create more spaces for people that are psychologically, emotionally, demographically safe, so that people feel comfortable filling that out and being represented. Because yeah, I think that there's so much value in knowing, who we are and how many of us are out here and who is represented. And so honestly, I think when I look at this number, I really do see question marks. It makes me think about how when I was in my program, I really wanted to do quantitative research. And but I
Mm,
kept leaning toward qualitative
yep,
research. And the difference between the two, for those who don't know, is quantitative is counting. It's just counting numbers, we'll say, and qualitative is taking narratives and
yep,
really more quality focused work, and so or data, and so it just keeps me coming back to qualitative work, like, yes, we have these numbers, but they don't explain everything. And
mhm,
so it just gives me question marks. What are we missing and why? And all of the
right.
questions behind it.
Yeah. Thank you. That was a Psych 101 lecture for us right there, the qualitative versus quantitative.
Yep,
I am a quantitative nerd, but I know as I'm continuing on, I will have a mixed methodology. So I will have
there you
qualitative
go.
because I think the stories need to be told. But I'm always first thing I'm going for is my chi-square and my stats. Like I am in
Yes.
there, standard deviation, like let's go. And I'm like,
Love
no,
it.
learn the people, talk to the people. So I'm on the other side, MJ. If we're on the same coin, I'm the other side of the coin. Like my numbers, give me my numbers. So
It's funny. That's so funny because throughout my whole program, like from the very beginning, I was like, I'm only doing quantitative. Don't miss me with the
Yeah.
qualitative. We had a whole class on qualitative, and I was like, I don't need to be here because I'm not doing qualitative. And I ended up doing qualitative.
I was a qualitative. I guess because I wanted to hear people's stories. I think it's that like from my career and stuff, talking to students all throughout, different because I've been around every grade, and so it was just talking to students, talking to parents because I did social work and stuff, so it was always that interviewing and, like, because I wanna know the why, like, or your story and, like, what are you doing, and so, I was always the qualitative, and then when they were like, "You need like, we need to do this data survey," and I'm just like, "Data? Schmata, like,
Mm.
whatever, I guess." But I get it. I like the mixed method, I will say going into my PhD, I would probably look at doing mixed method. That way you can grab a simple, like, just the data from polls or something like that, and then move it to a mixed method research. So,
Mhm, mhm.
thank you, Creative Pixie. The streamer survey does offer more than two man, woman, non-binary, excuse me, not listed, explained. So yes, the streamer survey
Mhm.
does offer more information. So yes, again, I want to pull that data. So thank you.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm,
I think it's also like if you see, as we talked about earlier, if you see that like lack of, then that's your opportunity to come in and like, pull that, like start getting into that research and that, find out who you can partner with and figure out how to get that research going. I think that's
mhm.
important. If you don't see yourself represented, again, as an Indigenous person, like I am an advocate on like where's that representation. So, um, okay, so we're gonna kind of wrap it up with a couple of questions. And then if you have any questions in chat, we'll kind of grab those as well. But what statistics or trends surprised you most during your research, and how do those numbers influence your work today? You can even use the stats from earlier, whatever you kind of want to mention. Um,
I can just jump right in with this one
okay.
because for me it was my qualitative piece where I was asking questions about who people trusted most and why, and just hearing how people would reach out to their local influencer because of that perception of authenticity. That stuck
Mhm.
out to me the most, and that surprised me during the research because there are so many people who go through, like, we're talking about education. We spend hours and years and so many resources on learning, and being able to translate that learning into ways for people to receive it. But the access looks different. Like, what's being accessed is very different than what's available. And so I just felt like, man, that means that there needs to be so much more um support for people on the front lines, such as influencers and Twitch streamers. I'm like, I have such a passion for fellow Twitch streamers. I'm like, how can we help you in your mental health and your capacity and your ability to show up for your community? Because your community, they are looking toward you for support, and they're looking at you for authenticity and advice. And so I think it just kind of, there's so much influence and so much power in, being a person of authenticity and in leadership in your spaces. And so that surprised me, and that was the most like fascinating. But it also felt like, man, how can we equip Twitch streamers with like things that they need to make sure that we feel like our cups are filled, so when our communities come to us, we're not just pouring out, but we're able to be our most authentic selves in these spaces.
Exactly. Love that.
Thank you. So just building off of that, I think there wasn't any particular data points, if you will, that stood out to me. There was two things. The first one is all the amazing new scales that are available. So all the reading the more modern research that is out there. And I'm like, oh, this scale. So I'm like writing down all these different scales that I will be using and sending out. So everybody that's around, just so you know, there will be scales going out for you to fill out. So in terms of your parasocial relationships and social media scale, that will be going out to you. So keep an eye out for that. But just seeing how far along the research has come, how far along the discipline, that's amazing. So I'm really excited to dive in. But on the flip scale, seeing, because I wanted to look at the the demographic of the streamer and then the viewer and how they will relate to that person. So if the
Mhm.
person is also a woman or a man or non-binary, are you more likely to form a parasocial relationship with them because you identify in
Mhm.
that term or in terms of race, in terms of age? And there's just
Mhm.
not a lot of data that looks at that. Like they'll look at
Interesting.
if the person has a lot of self-disclosure, if the person is showing their face, not showing their face. They're looking at all these other things. But I was like, well, wait, are you liking the person just because I can identify with them too because
Mhm.
we click the same boxes? I was like,
Mm,
where is there no data? So I was like, I'm already right there. I was like, I see where we need to take the research further, and that's an
fascinating.
important part of doing your research is seeing where there's a gap in the information out there and building on it. So,
I
yes.
love
That's
that.
that's really interesting. That and again, like going down that rabbit hole and learning more because you see that like lack of
Mhm.
that's kind of like again, I want to do digital media and like kind of how do we use it? How do different populations use it? How can we because it kind of goes into one of the statistics. Um, I don't know off the hand. I use it in other presentations and stuff, but how different people, populations use online content creation and so it was really interesting to discover like how we all use it, whether it's for like, we showcase our achievements. Do we use it as like a journal? I had to do like a paper around my story in college for my master's program and for my undergrad experience. And it was really like tough because there was a lot of transitions that happened in my undergrad. But like it was, eye-opening too because it showed, like, where I can support more students and stuff like that from that, and so, I had to look through my Facebook and look at it, and I was like my old Facebook, and I was just like, "Wow, I use this," it was pre what it is now, so it was like, just college students, at that time, and how we used it differently was really interesting to me, um
Mm.
but I think my stat that I wanna just go back to is just that 3% of indigenous representation as, like, gamers when I know in my own circle, there's so many and from my
Mm.
family, I come from, a really big family, and so it's just, like, that's a very interesting stat. Um, okay, and so looking ahead, how can gaming, social media, and digital spaces be leveraged to encourage more women to pursue advanced degrees and research careers? Just say it in one word, though. One word. It's gonna
Mm.
be a little hard one.
One word.
One
Yep.
word.
Yep.
Oh, that's easy. Money.
That's true. Okay. All right. Well, all right.
If we
Mm.
all had the resources
Mhm.
financially, we all would be pursuing more. We probably all would have put things off or back burner things. We would have I would have went straight through if I had
Mm.
all the finances to support it and support myself and my family during that time. So,
Mm.
money.
Yes.
Love that. All right. What is your
I
word?
would say voice,
Ooh.
just because I think that there's so many of us who have a voice and wanna speak and want to be able to have, just a say in what's being discovered essentially. Like,
Mm.
what are we discovering? How are we communicating these discoveries? And I think that, knowing that we can have a space where we can have a voice and be able to offer that to other people who would be represented in that research is something I would lean
You
into and encourage.
it kinda leads into my word because I was gonna say representation. So it kinda like,
Mm.
goes into it. All just connects together.
Mhm.
Um But perfect. I that kind of wraps up a lot of the questions. We did have one in chat, so we can answer that, and then we'll kind of tell everybody where they can find you. But the question that we had in chat was, do you think your degree has gotten you closer to your goals? It's kind of a big one.
Mm.
So, my degree, uh, I'm currently okay. So, I'm pursuing my PhD, but it's a long term goal. So, that's why I'm just taking one class at a time. I'm taking my time. It is fine. It can take as many years as I want because it is my retirement plan. So, I've been teaching as an adjunct professor for 18, 18 years. So my plan is when I retire from my full-time position and I take my pension, I will then go working full-time at a university. And at
Mm.
that point, I will have 30 something years. Anyway, so I have I've taught in person, I've taught online, I've created curriculum and things of that sort. So this is a long-term plan. So
Love that.
when I finish my degree, having a PhD opens more opportunities
Yep.
for teaching. And then I could also
Mm,
be a dissertation advisor. I can do all of those things. I'm
mhm,
limited right now with just my master's. So while I
mm,
might have the knowledge, I can't do it like yet because I don't have the degree. So that is why if you're in education, having the PhD is very helpful, and that's why I
mm,
am pursuing it. So that's why it's my
mm,
plan. It'll get me closer to my goal, and it'll just kicking back in retirement. So therefore, I will then be traveling. I will be teaching and
mm.
traveling. TNT. That's
Nice,
what I will be doing.
Perfect.
nice, nice. I would say for me, it has opened up a lot of doors. I would say, first of all, it's nice to hear people call you doctor. So that's cool.
Yes.
Um, but aside from that, I would say for me, it was more of the experience, being able to learn how to ask. It felt like my whole PhD program was learning how to ask questions and find out what you want to find out. In the especially in the context of social justice and relationships. And so for me, it felt like I learned so much about myself and I learned so much about human beings and the social environment and climate. um but as far as my career goes, I would say yes, because in my job now, I work with physicians and I help them to feel more supported in their well-being so they can show up for their patients in a way that is authentic enough and well. And so I feel like all of the things that I learned in my degree was kind of like a lot of processing. And in my field, we kind of look at the difference between content versus process. So content is what's on the surface and what you're learning, whereas the process is like how you're learning it and some of the underlying things that you're learning along with that. And so I would say process wise, I feel more prepared to, do more research, learn more things, and be able to apply that in all the areas that I find myself.
Love that. I will end it with the I want a PhD because kind of what fangirl, like those opportunities. I want to be able to like when you have that title, people treat you differently. Even whenever I tell them like that I'm a professor, like that I have a master's, like people kind of they listen to your voice. And
Mm,
so for me, I wanna be able to get opportunities for my community, and so I have to further my education. Education's always been important to me, and so I am not done, and I'm just gonna continue to go, but yeah, I am so, just thrilled to have nerded out with you all. I hope chat learned something today, and you will be doing your homework, which is filling out that Twitch streamer survey and also following everybody that was a part of today's panel. And I'm going to let you all shout where they can find you. I'm, of course, Angie Noel, Angie with two E's on all social platforms. So if you want to come follow me and nerd out sometimes, or if you like Valorant, I also play some other games too, but my main is Valorant, and that's a whole other conversation. We need to nerd out on how do I stop my toxic relationship. But all right. So, Fangirl, do you wanna where
Sure.
can we
Fangirl Review on all platforms. So it's easy if you just hit that Google, you'll find me. I'm there. I am a cozy horror streamer, but I again love to crochet. So I have all these like cute little crochet items that just sit on my desk at all given times. So that's me in a nutshell. I'm always here to talk and nerd out together. Again, I need all of you in chat to support me on my dissertation journey. So thank you so much. Thank you to Twitch. Thank you to Twitch Women's Guild, Angie and MJ for being here and really being supportive. I appreciate both of you so much. And yeah, so again, in chat, like I am here. I am a professor, psychology. There's not a class I haven't taught in psychology because I've been teaching for so
nice.
long. So please, anytime, reach out. I will answer questions. And I have sat down with other guild members and given them advice of how to, one, talk to their professor. If you're going to know it with your professor, talk to your dean, your chairperson. I will draft that email with you if you are not being heard. So please reach out. I am very much an advocate for the student as much as somebody as the professor.
Love it.
Love it.
Yes, and I'm MJ Hart. I'm a variety streamer. You can find me at MJ Hart on Twitch, and then I'm Hey MJ Hart on Twitter and Blue Sky. And I like the both. And we co-work. We do some cozy games. We might get a little sweaty um, with the pew pews. But I do love to nerd out as well. I would say, like, sometimes I like to call myself the neurodivergent bestie because if you ever need ideas, we can bounce ideas off of each other. My brain makes all kinds of wild connections at times. So, if you need any help with like figuring out your topics of research, figuring out, like some programs that you want to do, we can have like a little brainstorm sesh. Reach out, let me know. But thank you so much, everybody, for being here, and thank you so much, Angie and Fangirl. This was so cool. I just love talking to y'all and everybody here in chat.
It was fun. It was a good time. Again, I hope everybody learned something. We raised 720. I want to make note before we raid into our raider. We raised $727 for the 1000 Dreams Fund, which is going to support students from the Women's Guild, or not students from the Women's Guild, but the Women's Guild getting to TwitchCon, and students with content creation goals and tech gear or educational conferences. So definitely, appreciate you all donating to that cause. Okay, so we are going to raid it out. There's actually a raid train going on with the Twitch Women's Guild called Women. Let me get the exact title. Women About That Action Raid Train. So we are going to go to a scientist. And so let's see. Oh, we're already raiding. All right, here we go. So show some love to C7, another Twitch Women's Guildie, and I love C. She's great. But thank you all. I appreciate you being here today. Drink some water. Take care of yourselves. Any last comments?
Thank you again,
Y'all got
everybody.
this.
Appreciate y'all.
Yes, you got this. That's my last.
Talk to your professors. All right. See y'all later.
Later.